Good afternoon, folks. My name is Rich Longo, and I'd like to send out a welcome to all the universities and colleges that have joined us today. We've got Georgia Tech out there, University of Maryland, University of San Francisco, Chicago State University. The list goes on, and I'd like to welcome all of you. This is a webinar that is kind of targeted in your direction. It can be for anyone, but today's webinar is BMC, FootPrints Service Corps 12 in higher education. A little different from the norm today. We have a special guest with us today to talk about the experience. Josh Esmuria, and Josh, I apologize if I'm butchering your last name there. Josh is a technical support supervisor with American College of Surgeons. Josh started with the college in 2011 and is now their FootPrints administrator for the past 2+ years. Prior to using FootPrints, American College of Surgeons was using a homegrown solution. Josh, what was your homegrown system not doing for you?
Keeping track of all of our issues that were coming in throughout the day, and we had no way of actually putting any kind of numbers on how many issues we were resolving or how many issues were coming in on a daily basis.
Okay. And now, what was the morale like in the IT shop at that time? What was the staff like during the usage of your homegrown solution?
Well, when I first started at the college, we had a small amount of people, and now we've grown over to 400 people. And without having any way of maintaining, what was getting done, everybody was kind of like pulling out their hair and getting lost. But now with FootPrints, with Service Corps, we're able to see exactly where we're spending our time, where we're maintaining issues. We're actually resolving issues even before they become a major issue because we're able to track the issues that are coming in, the tickets and everything else.
Okay. And what was the morale of your end users prior to upgrading to FootPrints?
Well, before they used to think that whenever they would put an issue in or a ticket, it kind of went into a black hole where they weren't sure what was getting done to it. But now, with their access to the system, they can see where the tickets are at, what's getting worked on, who's working on it, and they can just follow the progress that is going in. So the morale for it's been actually really, really great. They've expressed nothing but a lot of compliments to our department ever since we started using it.
Very good. So it sounds like it was a good solution for you. Where at the college are you using Service Corps right now?
Well, right now we're using it all within IT. We have about 3 to 4 different branches in IT. We have our networking staff, our programming staff. We have another software that we use for our membership database, which is Aptify, and they use it too, and we use it in tech support. We also started branching out from within IT. So now our marketing department uses it for all the prints that they're doing. We're actually working our communications department. We just started a new website. So our communications department, a way to track any changes or anything else that they're doing within it. They're starting actually to contact, Flycast partners in order to get this set up for themselves. And I'm speaking also with our department that manages all of the office services, chairs, light bulbs, all that stuff, and they're expressing interest in it also. And we just started finishing a new change management part of module for it, and so we're going to be using it within IT, but then we're also going to be spreading that out to everybody else that has expressed interest in using the system.
So it sounds like you're really taking FootPrints and spreading the wealth around because you've learned how easy it is to use, and it's been pretty beneficial. Where has it been the most benefit for you personally?
For us, it's more or less maintaining track of all the issues that are coming up. Also, not only that, we were able to see that running reports in the system. We were able to see where we were having some issues with some users in regards to their network connectivities, and with the reports we were able to foresee where the problem was going to happen, and we were able to resolve it before it happened. So we've been able to it's been a huge help, just the reporting aspect of it. I mean, one thing that we were able to do now is just to show how much we were able to, what we were actually doing on a daily basis on my team. And within the year that we started using FootPrints, we had a total amount of about 9,500 tickets in 1 year, which we never had any metrics. And now that we have those metrics, everybody's like, well, now we see how busy you guys really are. So
I bet that's really changed the temperature with your user base. I bet that's improved dramatically. You were saying that they're happier to see work getting done. Is that right?
Yeah, they were able to, how we have it all set up, they're able to just constantly check where they're at with the ticket instead of calling us or sending us an email. Where are we at with this? What's going on with this part of it? Has this been ordered? We were able to change up all the different statuses of the ticket. So if we have something on order, we'll change it to pending vendor, which means that we've ordered the part and it's coming in. We're waiting for it to be delivered. Then we update the information in there. And now they know just to go to their portal page and see exactly where they're at with the ticket. And pretty much it's great. And instead of them having to constantly check back, they have one spot to check everything at. And then it's been a huge help for us to be able to input that stuff in there instead of constantly, just sending a reminder email to them or anything else. It's just been a huge help for that.
Josh, you kind of beat me to the punch on my next question about your end-user portal, but it sounds like that turned out to be a great addition to your IT shop. I know you had a phase 3 with asset management and the utilization of CMDB using FootPrints Inventory Manager, et cetera. Tell me a little bit about that addition for this phase 3 project.
Yeah, so with phase 3, we're using change management. So we're inputting all of our servers, our virtual servers, and then all the applications that those servers are running, all the applications that are running on those servers, and we're putting all that inside of the CMDB and actually linking it to the change management part of it, which is great because we can, see what applications are on the server when we do any kind of change to it. Not only that, but we also, with Asset Core, we're using the remote control capabilities, which has been fantastic. And before, we never had anything ready to push out software, and now we have software deployment. So we are able to push out software to all the end users, and actually they have their My Apps portal page where we can advertise applications to them, and they know now if they need a program update such as iTunes or anything from QuickTime, they can go to that My Apps section, right click on it, and download it and install it themselves. So it's been great for us to maintain not only just our software licenses also that are in there, so we can maintain inventory of that, but the reports that we can run in there make sure that they're using the software that they said they wanted, which is great. So we've been able to recoup some licenses, or and then distribute out the software, and then just maintaining all of our inventory has been a huge help.
Awesome. It sounds like everything's really worked out for you. And did you do a lot of this on your own, or did we assist you with a lot of what you were deploying?
So what we ended up doing was, just because we knew that we were going to be constantly doing a few changes here and there, we used you guys for the professional services to set up and to train us. And I went through all the training with professional services. When we first started with Service Core, we did 3 days of Service Core and 2 days of Asset Core. And we were able to push out everything from there. And then we've added, as we add modules, we add more professional services, so we can continue on, I can continue on my knowledge within the system, and also use you guys, to help us out with just getting this stuff rolling. An example of this is we just started to use change management. Actually, we just finished the professional services last week, and within 3 days we were able to update our CMDB with all of the servers. I'm actually in the process of putting all the applications in there, and also build out the portal page and the site and the workspace for change management with everything inside of it and all of the rules that run with it. and within 3 days, and it's just because, you know, the help that we get with the professional services has been great.
Thank you so much for your feedback, Josh, and we definitely appreciate the opportunity to be able to be there for you and your organization. Thank you for being with us today and sharing your experience with the audience.
No problem. I'm glad I could help.
Right.
Like I said before.
Very good. Well, we definitely have appreciated what your experience has been, and we're going to go ahead and move along. I'd like to introduce our presenter today, none other than Gregg Gilda, and I'm sure a lot of you that have attended our previous webinars are familiar with Mr. Gilda. He has been with Flycast Partners for over 3 years now, and Gregg has been responsible for hundreds of FootPrints implementations. He has been in the IT industry for over 17 years and has provided ITIL consultative skills to numerous clients regarding ITIL best practices and critical success factors required for smooth implementation and operation. Before we get started, Gregg, let me share with everyone a little bit more about Flycast Partners. For those of you that aren't all that familiar with our organization, we provide IT service management to consulting to organizations across North America. Our clients remain ahead of the curve on technology adoption while maintaining the rock-solid principles of ITIL in practical-focused projects. Introducing you to our website, I'm sure some of you guys have visited our website to sign up for our live webinars, but it is always monitored by our team of well-trained ITSM specialists. Visit us online at www.flycastpartners.com or feel free to reach out to us at 844-FLYCAST. This is just one of our weekly webinars, and we encourage you to utilize our website for researching industry white papers, for checking out training that is available in ITIL to ITSM, for assistance with professional services, and new ITSM solution finder. If you have any questions whatsoever, we encourage you to reach out to us via our chat box. As I said before, that's monitored at all times. And without further ado, I'm going to turn this show over to none other than Gregg Gilda. And Gregg, I see your screen. It looks great.
That's good news. Can you hear me all right, Rich?
I hear you loud and clear, sir.
Outstanding. Of course, I would have waited around for you to answer if you couldn't hear me, right? Because it would have been like, hey, Gregg, are you there? So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rich, for turning this over. Thanks a ton, Josh, for coming on and speaking to us about the experience that you've had both with Flycast and with FootPrints. And I think that what you were able to discuss demonstrated a lot of the stuff that we like to discuss, you know, when we're talking to customers about, which is what FootPrints can do for you. Certainly not what it does to you, but definitely what it can do for you and for your organization. In terms of just making you more efficient, more effective, and putting some of that reliance back in IT. After all, you know, it does get to a point sometimes where folks start calling you the helpless desk and they stop wanting to call you because they may not have the confidence in IT that you wish they had. And sometimes that's justifiable, right? Because we ourselves have to, you know, regretfully admit that we don't have a good way of tracking the issues. We don't have a good way of knowing from a metrics perspective how many tickets we're really taking or for what kinds of services. And we end up having to take phone calls all the time when we would rather the customer just help themselves if they could. So with FootPrints and with the ability to set it up easily, because it is a point-and-click interface, it is all done through no code at all type of interface, and we'll talk about that a little bit as we go through. But with that capability, it means that you have a solution in-house that now can grow with you as your organization grows, as your needs become identified for additional processes that you need to be able to manage. That's where FootPrints can really help and really shine. And today what we're going to talk about is FootPrints version 12. Now this is a new version of FootPrints that was released with the capabilities of the old versions of FootPrints and then some, including a brand new look, new workflow capabilities, some visual workflow capability, relationship capabilities. It's much more of an object-oriented solution now, so it's more data-driven than ever before, but it's still just as easy for you as an organization to be able to manipulate it. So without further ado, I'll start talking about that now instead of all the other stuff that I've been flapping my gums about. Good morning and or afternoon, depending on where you're hailing us from. The screen that you're looking at right now is actually one of the ways that, as Josh was alluding to, the customers can come in and be able to obtain services or at least begin a self-help journey, right? Customer, in this case, the customer is logged in through Internet Explorer. FootPrints is web-based, but it is browser agnostic. So it doesn't really care which browser you're using. They happen to be logged in Internet Explorer here. My agents, my technicians that work on the tickets, we're going to talk about them a little bit later too. They are logged in this case, through Google Chrome, but it won't matter which browser you're using or even if you're doing it from a handheld device, because FootPrints is based on HTML5, so it'll scale quite nicely, even if you're doing it from a very, very tiny iPhone screen or if you're doing it on, an Android tablet or whatever you happen to have. It'll still work perfectly fine, no matter what you're viewing it from. Doesn't care which browser. Now, customers can certainly be allowed to land on, in this case, the knowledge base. So if you have some knowledge that's available to them, this is just by way of example, you can have that knowledge organized in whichever number of layers you'd like, representing whatever kinds of solutions you want. And customers can be allowed to drill into any of these to get access to the information that you may want them to be able to see. Because knowledge can be separated in FootPrints, you can ensure that only the right folks have access to the correct knowledge, so that you don't have the wrong people seeing wrong bits of info. Hey, customer, hey, students, we really weren't trying to tell you how to manage the HVAC systems. Sorry for exposing that knowledge to you. Right? So in this way, your folks who manage your facilities stuff can have knowledge about how to manage those HVAC systems. Your server guys can know how to manage and reboot servers. Your customers can see only the information that's necessary for them to be able to do their jobs or obtain services. But that means your facilities folks don't have to learn anything about how to reboot servers, thank goodness. So you can keep that knowledge completely separate and even keep the layers of knowledge separate. If you don't want printing to be available to someone, you can certainly excise that as well. So a customer has the ability to come into their own portal, and this portal can tie into your AD system so that they, providing their typical user ID and password, they can simply log in right through AD, be recognized as part of your LDAP system or Active Directory system, and be allowed access directly into FootPrints. They could even come into the solution if you use what's called web authentication. They could come in directly without having to supply any credentialing at all if they were authenticated on your network. This is one of the options that you have. Customers, of course, can also email you. They don't have to come in through here. They could email you. They could call you the traditional way if you choose. Most organizations are looking for call avoidance. So the easiest ways to do that are to give a customer a portal such as this so that they have the ability to report an incident. And we kept this simple here for our customers intentionally. Hey, request a specific service that isn't break fix, or report an incident, which of course is a service that is break fix, right? So no matter what the service type is, our customers can definitely make the request from here with whatever information you would like to present back to them. We recommend the KISS method here, keeping it as simple as possible so that they don't have to try to identify categories of issues. We find that giving them categories is kind of like giving the customer WebMD and saying, please diagnose your disease and then come see the doctor and we'll prescribe something, right? Most doctors would frown on that because people will be for sure, yes, I have Ebola. I know it. It's Ebola for sure. And given the state of affairs right now, that might not be too far from true. But we still don't want them misdiagnosing what's wrong. So don't give them categories, just give them very simple bits of information, allowing them to provide you with minimal detail, allow them to provide you with attachments, etc. You can see that there's an issue description area so that they can type what's going on here and turn that ticket loose just by saving the request. So very, very simple. We can even give customers access to specific templates. So if there are common things that they need to report on all the time, like printer jam, notice that the ticket has now instantly become one of those common types of issues for the customer. So in this way, they can get access to the types of services that they use the most frequently without having to type a whole bunch of rigmarole in order to make that happen. Customers smile at you when this is true. You can let them do an email, which basically would, of course, just take this subject of the email and the body of the email and anything attached to that email and automatically attach it and update it and create the ticket. And then all communication would take place in email, right? Nobody copies and pastes anything because customer updates go right to the system and agent updates also go right back into the system. So that means the full correspondence and triage of a ticket from start to finish could all be done in email if you chose. or a customer could call you if you'd like as well. Now you can see that we've given our customers access to a few things here. One of those is the service catalog. You could certainly display back a catalog of the services that you as an organization offer, things that you would like your customer to be able to see and interface with you on. And when they do see these things, they can drill into the service layers, gain access to specific kinds of services. If there are campus-wide services that you offer or specific campus application type services, those can be made available as well. And then by drilling into these service types, they can gain access to specific things that you may need to grant them access to. For example, hey, I need to have a separate AD account set up, or I need access to the corporate or college internet site so that we can make sure that we have the right people accessing it if it's one of those things that gets granted, you know, but not by default. But when the customer pulls up any of this info, they see basic details about that service, very basic, right? Only the information we choose to supply. So you can supply them with a rich update that includes pictures of what the service looks like outside of this little Rubik's Cube thing that I happen to put in there. You can stick a picture of what the service looks like, any descriptions about it, any costs, any other things they should know. Please allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery, etc. And the customer can simply, you know, choose this service by requesting it. If they do, they've automatically got the ticket created for them for this request, and all they've needed to do at this point is save the request and move on. They don't have to fill any detail out. They don't have to populate the ticket with any more information unless you've decided, hey, they need some more detail, we have to supply something else. They certainly can, if you want them to, add additional info in here. Oh, and they could even spell it right. Look at me. Or better yet, don't. There. So we'll go ahead and save this. I'll close the issue off the screen so that it's now closed and they get a notification of the fact that it's no longer sitting on the screen for them to look at. And the customer can see their request for service right here. So everything that's going on, as Josh was alluding to, the customer no longer has to call you to find out what's going on with their service requests, right? They can see that things are in progress. They can see what work is being done. They can get the information out of the system that they need to get out of it, and then pull up those tickets to review them if that's what they want to do, to see exactly where things are at. Notice that I updated it to in progress, and they had asked for access to that particular system or service. So we can quickly and easily provide access to our customers for all the info that they need, or you can choose to do all the hand-holding you want with your customer by allowing them to call you directly or email into the system. But in any case, your customers now have a way of obtaining service from you in a very efficient and effective way that keeps it minimal for them, keeps it simple for you, and allows you to operate under that no ticket, no work mantra. Because remember, customers will try to tackle you in the hallway or after you've come out of the bathroom or when you've left a meeting, or they'll be cube camping for you as you return saying, hey, can you do me a favor? And you still need to be able to capture that request someplace, right? You still need to be able to capture what they're asking for in a system of record rather than on a sticky note or in an email or on your palm, because you'll forget those things, or the emails will get lost in the middle of the what are you doing for lunch tomorrow emails, and you won't be able to find it. Use a system of record like FootPrints that makes it simple and that allows us to tie this information together, because when we look at this from an agent perspective, I've just switched over to my other browser session pretending that I'm not one of the technicians. Notice that as a technician, I can also access the service catalog. So I can be given access to a technical service catalog versus what the customer was able to see. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean here. When I go into our service catalog on the customer side, we can play one of these things is not like the other. Notice that my customers don't get to see all the services that my internal folks get to see, right? We've eliminated the access to project services because typically customers don't launch projects on their own. So same service catalog, we've just chosen to limit by role who can see what, who has access to do what in the system. And in this way, the wrong folks don't get access to the wrong things, right? You don't get to call the power company and say, build me a new power plant, because they generally frown on that. Customers don't get to do that either, so you can limit that capability. But that means that our agents can have access to the exact same levels of services that our customers could have everywhere else if we chose. And our agents could also go after the same types of services that our customers do. But notice if it's an agent that's making this request, we have a lot more information that's available in the ticket. lots more information, including all information about customers who have requested this so far. We can see customers that have used this service directly from the actual service itself just by pulling it up and reviewing it. So I now know who's been ordering this and who hasn't at a glance. Very, very useful to find out who's using the services in your organization versus who isn't. And because I can drill into this, that means I can pull up all of Kim's info right from in here and look up those tickets that Kim may have opened for other types of requests as well. So from an agent perspective in FootPrints, these are our technicians. Notice that we have access to lots of other things, linking tickets together, all the stuff that would typically be reserved for folks who are working more nitty-gritty in the system or for whom the day job is, hey, yeah, we get to solve these things for customers. Customers get to ask for them themselves to their own portal. So updates to tickets that we make here will automatically go directly back to our customer. And that means that if I'm making updates to particular tickets in my workspace here, looking at that service request 5 that we were working on, I can pull that service request up in the system, work on that particular ticket directly from here. We'll roll up my dashboard to get it out of the way. And now I can make updates to this ticket, which would notify our customer either via email, or they could log into the system and see the updates that were made to their ticket, so they know exactly what kind of modifications we've been working on. Now this will go back to the customer. Like I said, they'll get a notification via email. The customer could just as easily respond via email to this update, and their information would go right back into the ticket automatically. So the customer doesn't have to do anything special like log into FootPrints even on their handheld. They can simply respond to the email that's generated from FootPrints from here, and that will go right into the ticket. And your communication out to your customer is fully customizable, and you don't have to know any programming language to do that. FootPrints is, of course, totally codeless, so that means you can point and click your way to designing what your messages say to your customer, and therefore they can say anything you'd like. There is no what does that look like, because it looks like really whatever you want it to look like. You can even design it in Microsoft Word if you want to, and then just copy paste the HTML right into FootPrints for use as the outbound message. So your communications to your customers are always clean, and their responses to you will always go right back into the ticket. I'm just going to go ahead and save this. We'll close the ticket off the screen. But when I pull that ticket back up, you're going to see that this ticket has a history. Yes, we all do, right? We all have a history that we may or may not be thrilled with. I just pulled up the wrong one, incident 6. This one has a history too, that's okay. History is going to show everything that's happened on this ticket and who's done it and when, right? So in this case, you can see we have history dating back into May. System rules were processed against this particular ticket. You can see exactly which one was done. You can see that I made some modifications to this ticket at a certain time. Whether or not I've updated comments or other information is all recorded here. So in this way, nothing that anyone does to any request, whether it's a customer or whether it's one of your agents, nothing anyone does is going to be lost. All the information is captured, which in turn means that when you go to pull the information back out of FootPrints, because you want to report on it, as Josh was alluding to, you can now begin to analyze the information about your services, finding out who's ordering what, how frequently they are, etc. But when I'm inside of these particular tickets, like this one that I'm working on right now, notice that there are some actions I can take, one of which includes showing an impact analysis. So if I've got this impact analysis ability in FootPrints, what that means is I can see, hey, we got this corporate address book contact, Kim, is linked to this ticket. Or to look at it in a visual way, I can see that our customer, Kim, is linked to this particular request, this incident number 6. That's because I'm only looking at this with one hop, right? One relationship. This is sort of like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? You can just find out what your Bacon number is actually in some social apps right now, because you can see just how far a person is in terms of their relationship with Kevin Bacon. Here you can see just how far away the relationship is from the contact to the tickets that they may own. And depending on how many hops I decide to go out, if I move this to 2 hops, now notice that we've got some additional relationships, right? We've got relationships between the contact, Kim, and the ticket, and we've also got a ticket contact overall relationship that exists here. Now I see all the tickets that Kim has opened, not just this one. not just that immediate relationship. And that also means that I have the ability to move to any one of those tickets, including the one that we were working on before, at service request number 5. So it gives me access to the details that I need to have from inside of the system and allows me to see how all of those tickets happen to be related to each other. So very, very useful, very powerful feature that it exists in FootPrints version 12, never existed in prior versions of the solution. So very, very useful that. As we move a little deeper into the tool, notice that I have the ability to open a service request as well, right? FootPrints maintains multiple forms, can maintain what are referred to as multiple workspaces. The workspace being the collection of all of the stuff I need to manage a given process. So if I manage incident requests, hey, I've got those, right? Break-fix services that we offer in our company, we call them incidents, what a clever name. But we also have requests for problems, right? I need you to investigate ongoing issues to determine their root cause because I do not want any more of those incidents to ever happen. Or maybe we have specific service requests that are listed and gatherable. Notice that I have several pages worth of tickets out here. So as I move forward, I can also see all the service requests in the system that were made. My view happens to be showing me all things in the service desk. So that means I have access to all my service desk type requests from here. If I look at all workspaces though, I can even gain access to any change requests that may be going on or specific incidents that may be happening in the organization because now I can see all the changes that are happening. Yes, FootPrints will manage your changes as well as managing your incident, service requests, problems, really any process you can think of. And it does those in a workspace because each workspace is dedicated for its own purpose. Problem management is managed through problem. Incidents and service requests can be managed at the service desk because we offer all services, break, fix, or otherwise through that service desk. Change management can be managed from its own change management workspace. There is no cost to you for these workspaces, which is why, as Josh was speaking, he was talking about the fact that they're now using FootPrints for lots of different functionality inside of IT. Lots of different snippets of that organization are leveraging potentially different workspaces in FootPrints to be able to leverage and deliver those specific services. And there's no cost to you for building as many of them as you want. We have some colleges that have up to 300 workspaces in FootPrints, while most colleges are operating somewhere between the 20 and 50 mark on workspaces. Yes, that many, because they're managing all of their workflow for everything that you can really think of. Anytime a request needs to be made for any kind of service, we can manage it from here, even if that's opening an incident because a customer happened to call us on the phone, right? So if I choose to open an incident inside of FootPrints, notice that I can describe, what the incident happens to be. Dorm is cold. Customers, when they're calling us, we can certainly move this to in progress if we chose to. We can then begin to say, hey, this may be campus-wide, right? So far as a single user, but they're not working normally. Cold in the wintertime, especially depending on where you are in the country, that could be a big deal. So we can now flag this as student safety. Notice that it automatically becomes a critical issue as a result of these combinations. So this means that we can begin to take tickets that account for our organization's needs, right? The impacts and urgencies to our organization will determine how quickly we must respond to that ticket. We always encourage folks, don't just set this, right? Don't just pick a priority without going through these first, because otherwise I'll just pick critical just because it's me. Hey, it's me, so it's critical. Just ask me, I'll tell you. I'm very important. Everything I ask for is very important. The most important thing you'll ever do. So rather than letting people say that out loud, make them tell you, really, why is it that important? Is it really affecting the whole campus, right? Anytime it says student safety is going to be critical, that's as big as we can get. So if student safety is involved, it's going to be a big deal. But if it's campus-wide and everyone's working normally, but it's still affecting everybody on campus, it's not slowing them down any, but the impacts are there, then that's an important issue. Right? Not as critical as it could have been, but don't give people the opportunity to pick that directly. So we can begin to classify those issues. filling in contact information, linking it to a contact record if you'd like, and this can be anyone pulled from your AD system, your LDAP system, anybody that you want to. So we can pick a particular contact, link that particular person back to that ticket. We can even link out to our asset system, asset core, and link specific assets even if they came back from that customer. So we can now see all the customer's information that they have. We can begin to categorize our issues, of course, either along these lines, or if you have particular campus systems that you leverage. Most organizations will leverage one of these two tools, right? Either Angel or Blackboard or something. So you can begin to categorize issues along the lines of the systems that you and your organization maintain, including capturing specific systems or whatever you want. Hey, you can't connect to Blackboard. Obviously, that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they're cold, unless Blackboard is controlling your heating in your system for some reason. But just wanted to give you an idea that, yes, you can absolutely include your detail here, because what is said in these boxes or anywhere else on the system, although it does come out of box pre-configured to look like this, we can include any terminology that matches your organization very, very easily, because everything in FootPrints is done through that point and click interface. Picking who the assignee and notification is also very easy. I can pick who's going to be assigned to this ticket, whether it's a primary assignee or the overall assignees, removing individual people from the assignee list so that, you know, maybe I don't need just me individually. Maybe I just want the service desk. I don't have to have all these other folks on that particular ticket. So now I can just assign it that way. Now they've got it and nobody else. We can link it to existing problem records if there's an ongoing problem that's happening that's reflective of this. We currently don't have anything like it. I'll just link it to that one for illustration. So that means our problems and our incident records are now cross-talking. And when I go to view relationships in that visualizer that we saw earlier, yes, that means incidents to problems will be reflected. I can see problem tickets as they relate to incident records, or change requests, or even the ever-popular, whoops, our change broke something, and this incident is a result of that change that we just did over the weekend. That's important to know, because it's important to find out just how many times you're trying to fly over the wall and getting splattered against it, right? Specific service requests or other incidents can be linked. We can even link to master tickets so that we can have an overall bundle or package of work that must be delivered. And that way, for common tasks that gets repeated all the time, things that we do consistently, we can have a series of master and sub-tickets. These are just sub-tasks that get done, assigned to everyone. Each task has its own workflow and life cycle, yet they all relate back to the master ticket so that you can very easily keep track of the overall work you're doing for anything, whether it's a mini project or whether it's just bringing a new hire on board the organization. You can link subtasks to the ticket, create global records that say everybody on the campus is feeling this. We want to link it to that global issue so that FootPrints and you can be aware that this is just a part of that bigger iceberg that we're seeing right ahead of us. Incidents related to it. Of course, the CMDB is a part of this. And as Josh was alluding to, leveraging the CMDB means that we have our CMDB tab here. We could certainly create new configuration items, but it means that we have the ability to begin importing our CI data from either our asset source, or when it comes to importing departments and other types of relationship information, we can import that from a flat file as a CSV or whatever our source happens to be. So we can pull our configuration information and the relationship detail from a database source or even from a flat file source, so that we can link to specific configuration items. I don't have anything out here to link to in my CMDB, but we can easily create configuration items in the system just by leveraging the CMDB, choosing an action, choosing new, and then manually, if we wanted to, creating a specific application or router or switch or whatever it is we want to build. Notice that this is going to look similar to a ticket, except it contains all the information specific only to the application configuration item. So I could choose to create this as, you know, as a one-off on a manual basis, or I could import this information about my assets right from an external data source. And you can even schedule those imports so that they happen when you want. Therefore, all of your detail will be updated in the CMDB as necessary. And a little caveat, always make sure that you're limiting the values you import, because config is not the same as asset. Right? You don't need to have all of your asset information imported into the CMDB because you already got that in your asset tracking system. The The CMDB is designed to be able to show the relationships between your service assets and the departments or business units that leverage those service assets, so that you can have a cause and effect relationship drawn and then determine, hey, if this system goes down, these people will call us. So let's notify them and tell them that we're aware the system is down before they have to call us. This begins to put you in the catbird seat, so you can then begin to proactively notify your customers of outages that they may not even be aware of yet, because you can begin to make those predictions right from inside of the CMDB. So very, very potent capability in FootPrints to track literally anything we want, including the creation of brand new services for our service catalog, creating new change requests so that we can modify and manage our changes to the organization. And all of these change requests, problem records, whatever we happen to build, are all relatable back to our incidents, to our problems. And notice our change request contains different information, different impacts, different urgencies, different concepts for our prioritization scheme inside. We have different mandatory fields. Even our change categorization is different than our information was in our incident system. Plus a reason for change. Our statuses will be different here. So this allows us to create literally what most tools would consider separate modules. FootPrints actually has already baked in as functionality. So you don't need to add anything to it to be able to do this. FootPrints can do this kind of functionality right out of the box. Capturing your plans for validation or implementation, or any other plans like testing plans or backup plans that you want to capture. Of course, the ability to link to contacts and assign tickets and linking to incidents, all of that capability is still present here. So you can create whichever workspaces you'd like, and Flycast partners can definitely help you with that, with, as Josh alluded to, some of those professional services that will allow us to get these built in a best practice way for you. But because the system administers through a point-and-click interface, you also have the ability to pilot your own ship if you choose. We can help tug you away from the shore, and then you can have the wide open ocean to use FootPrints in any way that you think of. Or we can assist you in getting from port to port by providing professional services that will help configure the system in best practice ways. All of this is done through the FootPrints version 12 administrative screen, which means everything that you're looking at in our system today, all of the stuff was actually built by using a built-in business process. And what I did when I created this stuff, I just said, well, no, I don't need a help desk, because a help desk just gives me a workspace with an address book, right? I want more than that. I'm not just doing human resources, which would give me a human resources workspace, right, to manage HR type of requests and an address book. I'm doing more than that. I actually want to manage IT service management that gives me the address book and the CMDB and the knowledge base and the service portfolio where my service catalog lives, and my change management capability, and my service desk, which of course lets me manage requests for services, problems, incidents, what have you. So all of this was literally built through a wizard by choosing what's the name of my address book, or do I want to link to an existing one, right? So I can use my existing address book here if I want. And then choosing continue, FootPrints is now going to start creating all of this stuff for me, which is really everything that you see here behind the scenes. All the stuff that we have built in here was built from that template. Now I added a workspace for project management and procurement, so you can have workspaces to do any kind of functionality that you want in FootPrints. There is no limit, but the service portfolio, the CMDB, the knowledge base, the address book, all of these elements were created from a wizard that took about 20 minutes to do. In fact, the entire installation only takes 25 minutes from start to finish, because it's all based on a wizard. So this allows you to come in and make management of users, roles, teams, making the setup of individual customer portals, including the look and feel for that customer portal if you would like it to look a little different than it does. You can see right now my customer portal is sort of laid out in this theme, right? What I'm going to do is make a quick change to my theme for the customer portal. I'll turn this into the Around the World theme, and we'll save our customer portal out. FootPrints has made that update. And now if I refresh this screen, the screen is going to redraw and show me everything in that new theme that we just laid out, with the service catalog available, the knowledge base available, but everything is now themed differently according to the way I wanted to design it. So making changes in FootPrints making the modifications that you need, whether it's making quick modifications to individual portals in the tool, or whether it's literally managing the workspaces in your system like your service desk and saying, I would like to make changes to my incident form, please, for my agents. All of the work that you do inside of the tool is done through a point-and-click, drag-and-drop interface. If you would like to have particular fields on your form, such as, hey, maybe I want to capture the created by information, I can drag that information out to my ticket, I can drop it right on the form, and it's really that easy to begin laying out the information on your form so that it contains the detail you want. You want different impacts, something besides campus-wide or projects, you can make edits to these choices, adding your own terminology as simple as typing it in and hitting Add Choices. So FootPrints makes design extremely easy because now you don't have to take any coding languages. There is no place to code anything in FootPrints. It's all done through this same exact point-and-click interface. And that means that all the data you gather here, all the things you've said are important to managing your process, whatever that process happens to be, can therefore be searched for and reported on, right? Because I can find anything that I've captured from a data perspective, and I can add anything I want to from a data perspective right inside the tool just by pointing and clicking my way through those workspaces. This means that I can now take my own ship, pilot it, and make sure that I can get all the reporting information necessary about just what kind of course we laid and just how well we did on that last journey that we took last month or last quarter or last semester. Because FootPrints can search for anything. Basic searching in FootPrints can be done right through our basic search option, which gives us the ability to search for particular items here. Or I can do an advanced search, right? So if I know the kind of thing I'm looking for, like a particular kind of service request or a particular problem record or an incident, if I want to search in those, I can just point to that specific element and then type the information here that I'm trying to search for. And it gives me, as soon as I hover my mouse over that, some examples and some keywords and some other terms that I can use to help augment my searchability. So this is for finding things quickly, right? If I was looking for a particular item in my, I don't know, we'll pick change management. If I was looking for, you know, the number 1, I might be able to find a ticket that is labeled 1 if we choose a search this way, just by choosing to click on this and letting the system pull back that information about that ticket. Or if it was a change because of a hard drive, we could always search for that information too in change management change and let the system find that info for us as well. But in addition to searching like this, right, these more advanced search capabilities exist that allow me to assemble a search from any criteria. So now I can decide what the search description is, who has availability to this search. Is it just for me as an agent, right, or an admin, or will I allow this to be shared with other people? And then what am I going to search in? I can now choose to search across multiple items, right? So I can search across problems, and I can search in my incident records, and I can search particular CIs or for projects or for particular work targets as a part of my service level agreements or anything that I want. And I can search for any criteria that exists, aging of the tickets or common fields across those particular workspaces, or literally any other information in any combination that I wish. So this means that I can begin to construct very elaborate searches for very specific details of tickets that includes any data I captured, anything from its creation date to its ending date to how long, you know, it's been spending in particular statuses. Whatever information I wish to search for, I can find. And what I get when I'm done with that, this is kind of a cooking show. We're taking the baked cake out of the oven now. When I'm done going through and deciding which fields I want to display on my search, etc., once I finish these pieces, and you can see this is all point and click, I end up with a list of searches that I've built. And all of these that have dates after them are searches that I created myself. Anything that has no date after it were searches that were built for me out of the box by the system, just as a result of me using that business template. So this means a lot of the common searches, like all active problems that are going on, or hey, my met work targets, things that I didn't fail at, those were all built for me already ahead of time. Whereas other searches that we've created, like tickets this month or whatever else that we happen to be looking for, or only tickets that may be in a request status, these searches exist here, and I can look at the results of the search anytime and see all the information that's available. Running that particular search from here, saving it and running it, so that if I've made modifications, I can now run the search, look at it in the preview pane, if that's what I choose to do, or not in the preview pane. I'm currently seeing it in that already. And then, if you want to, you can print this information or do whatever you'd like from the search. But searching is part of the battle. The other part of the battle is taking the search and using it as a basis for some kind of reporting. And in FootPrints version 12, because what they've come to understand is, look, this isn't just about reports, right? This is actually about managing your services that you provide to your customer. So rather than calling it reports, they've more aptly named it Service Analytics. And that means that in Service Analytics, I can begin to pull together reports on literally anything that you can imagine, from ticket management for overall life cycle or average age, status transition statistics, how long is it taking me to move from status to status, turnaround times, if I want to drill into each individual status by name and say how long does it take me to go from request to closed, for example, or how about time spent in between these two statuses? How long does it take me to go from open to closed, including all the statuses in the middle? All of these searches are easily, all of these reports, Service Analytics, are easily constructed, no matter what it is, because once I've done that, once I picked a particular report that I want to build, I built, in this case, a ticket management activity report. It shows me activity, and you can see I have one of those constructed here. I also have an average age that I'm using as part of a widget, and I created that particular ticket, or that particular type of report, and that's a private report just for me. But I can choose to schedule these reports and send them out if I want. I can also create custom reports that report on whatever it is that I want, right? Changes awaiting review, or total tickets in progress, or the ever popular Maya report. Any of these reports can be built directly from here. So even if I was choosing to build a custom report in FootPrints, this is all done point and click. Nobody's writing SQL queries. You do not have to know how to spell SQL or DBA in order to make FootPrints report on things. This is important for all you folks who are out there that may not have access to SQL or DBA on your own, and who may need to access a DBA to get your system to report something. The DBAs have a day job, which is not necessarily running all of your reports at the drop of a hat. So you might find that it's difficult to get information out of your existing system simply because the skill set necessary to write the queries isn't readily available, and you've got to get in line behind every other thing they're doing to make that happen. But in FootPrints, I can just leverage, a report against a particular type of item, like incidents. I can leverage one of my searches, hey, all my non-closed tickets, things that are not yet closed, right? And then I can begin to decide what information I want to include as a part of this report. All the fields that are available in my incident record are now available for me to pick. So if I want to include priority, if I want to include impact, if I want to include the date it was created, if I want to include its current status, notice that I'm not working hard to make this happen, guys. I'm just picking the information, and it's including these as columns that I'm going to report on. So you can easily mix and match, pick whatever you want, including calculated fields like, hey, how age, that's a good word. How old are these tickets, or is the description something I'm going to include, or time activated to closed? Can you give me some information about that? Applying these changes says, hey, you missed something. Dummy, you can't continue with this until you actually name your report something. There, I just named it something. I'll make it a shared report. I can make this available for dashboards only, or as something I can automatically run in the system. Now when I apply changes, FootPrints will allow me to do that because it's going to start pulling up the information and starting to display the columns that I chose here, right? Here's all the columns I chose. Here's all the columns that are getting displayed. And because these are not yet closed, right? These are non-closed, I'm not going to get any information on this calculated field's time to close because not a single ticket in this search ever got closed yet. So including that is something we don't have to do. We could easily remove this if we don't want this particular field to become a part of it. I can apply those changes now because I see I've only got open tickets in this mix, and now I don't have to include that column. But I can use the information in these columns to move these columns around. So if I would like to arrange them in a slightly different way or have information available to me in different places on the form, I can easily move this information around. I can begin to do formulas against it. So things that you would normally export the data for, to like Excel or Crystal or something else, you don't have to do that export. I can change the layout of it. I can sort it, filter it, group the information, aggregate my values. I can even begin to do charts against some of this stuff for whatever kind of chart I want, right? Labeling it whatever I want, maybe based on status or something. Make the data column for the incident, we'll sum it, we'll add that. And now it'll create a little pie chart for me, because that's what I told it I wanted. And it'll create the pie chart, which is now available, and I can export this immediately as an Excel or a PDF file. So if I choose to export as PDF, the system now has it ready to go as a PDF. I can choose to do whatever I'd like to it from here. But most folks, when they get their reports and when they have their reports created, they want these reports that they've built and saved to be distributed to somebody. They'd like them to get into someone's hands at a particular time. And that's another area where FootPrints really shines, because I can choose to schedule tasks, right? And I can pick the kind of task I want, whether it's an import task or what have you. I can import tickets or contacts or configuration items. But I can also choose to schedule reports. So that means here, I can come out here, name it whatever I want to, of course, select a particular report from one of my report groups, right? Is it a service portfolio report? Is it a custom report? Is it a cross-item time tracking, whatever? I'll just pick one of my custom reports that I've created. And now we can see I have this ability to now decide what output I will choose for my auto run report. I can decide who is going to receive my auto run report, right? This can be anybody from my address book, anybody in the address book with an email address, any team, any agent. I can even just begin to type email addresses directly in this box and send them right to myself if that's what I want to do. That means you guys could do that too. How entertaining of you to send me reports. Have I mentioned that I love you? So you can send me reports if you want to, or anybody inside the company, outside the company, because once you've picked who it is that the report is going to, and whether you want to save it in a folder somewhere, you can then schedule the report and decide exactly when it's going to get run. So that means you can pick a schedule for the report. Is it going to run every day, hourly? That would annoy people. Or are you going to pick a particular time for this report to run? Hey, you know what? We really need this, not every day, but maybe just every Monday, right? I don't have to have it every day. So we'll make it every Monday, and again, every hour is probably a little annoying. So how about we just send it out every Monday at 5 a.m., and if it's empty, don't email it. Saving this is now going to schedule this report up, and it'll deliver the report data to the audience in question at the correct time. So in total, what you're looking at is a 100% web-based, 100% codeless solution that allows you as an organization to begin to finally track your tickets, report on the services you're delivering, and be able to really see how the rubber is meeting the road within your organization. As always, if you guys need assistance with anything, as Josh will attest to, we do a heck of a good job of taking care of our customers. So please let us know, after this session is complete, and we will be more than happy to assist you with your FootPrints 12 or any other kinds of professional services needs you may have. With that, I'm going to turn this back over to Rich so that we can close out our session. Thanks again, everyone, for attending.
Thank you very much, Greg, for another incredible presentation. I very much appreciate it, and I'm sure the audience enjoyed it as always. I'd like to remind everyone that you can sign up for webinars like this on a weekly basis. We do have these type of webinars every week. Just simply go to www.flycastpartners.com. Feel free to reach out to us at 844-FLYCAST for any questions that you have, or simply chat with us on our chat box on our website. We encourage you to utilize our website for researching different industry white papers. And as you can see, we've added a variety of different white papers to our site more recently. Additional training, training from ITIL to ITSM tools, assistance with professional services. We have become industry lead in regards to professional services, and a new ITSM solution finder. With that, I want to thank all of you that have attended today's webinar and wish you a great afternoon.